Hey, this is Andy here with WealthyFantasyFootball.com, and wanted to go ahead and get you a good idea. I was playing around with some lineups and optimizing them for fantasy baseball contest for today. But I wanted to show you this one here first to start with in particular. It was from August the 8th, which I placed a position of 540th out of 32,173. Not a bad position to be in, but unfortunately in this particular contest, it's like it is indicated here, the toughest ticket, because you must place well within the top 1%. This is at 1.67% percentage if you want to do the math if you care to do so. But taking a look here, usually though you would win some money, some cash, just by being a top 10 to 15% of most cash contests if you want to enter $1 or up to $100 or whatever you can afford to do. But as for tournaments, you must place well up in the 200 points here, as indicated, 219 points. This is done through finding a high, not necessarily a high-priced pitcher, but an ace sort of pitcher. If there's not an ace available, you go with the best one available, of course, which does allow some more leeway and room to be able to put some high-priced batters in there, of course. But what I have here is 4 different particular batters shown here that scored, I would say, exactly over 25 points at least to be able to get good results. So that's only 4 out of 8 batters which scored 25 plus points with this type of result. So the amount of points that you need to be able to win a tournament, which is a large sample size of a contest, that you need players with a lot of high upside, which you have to focus on to be able to win these. Guys scoring, even as you see here, 6 and even 9 points is not going to be enough to win these tournaments. So as many as you can hit on with the 20, 25 plus point differential, or that is this strategy where it'll get you winnings in these type of contests. So one way about going about doing this is keeping track of everything you do. Of course, you can visit other different websites, and some of which I even recommend, such as, it's maybe not as popular as others, but you learn a lot from there. You can opt into their free report and ebook. It's at Daily Fantasy. Well, let's see what that is real quick. DailyFantasySportsRankings.com. You can just visit that sometime. I just recommend that site, for example, getting into giving some daily advice. But as for what I'm mainly going to work with as a tool right here, of course, is the draft dashboard, which you can start out with. The first step I would do for a daily lineup is going back and deleting the players that you have watched from the previous days. So that way you can start fresh and watch the players that are good for today and being able to get the players in that you need to. So instead of working with yesterday's players. And then what you can do is get into, well, let me first show the dashboard real quick, the main area as an overview, is that it's always being updated every day. Like today, it's just showing here that info tools are almost ready. So they'll make them available in every effort in the next few days, and that does usually happen as promised. So with something like this, if you ever put a small investment into it, then it's a big payoff. So, and then you can go to browse teams to see how you want to look at different ways of stacking or high scoring games. If we can pick something out here, just trying to look for a good matchup. And actually right now it's late at night, so we won't see anything for the day lined up. But here you can find out, as indicated, the top matchups coming up. So to give you an example here, so a lot of the information here about the game to show you the pictures and everything, some additional information on these, a lot of information to gather there, but especially the implied point total of the game to see if you want to take players from that particular game. And then next, you can just go ahead and go to, kind of work your way down here is what I do, but go to next top players for the day. And as we can see here, these are some of the top pitchers. Now, the first thing you might notice, well, let's start with the left side. These pitchers have 100 dash rank. This is an algorithm used by Dash Draft Board to give you a good rank, 100 being the highest and 0 actually being the lowest. Yeah, you can come across a 0 ranked pitcher. And then you notice here that you have the OPS, or on base percentage of the opposing pitchers, and then this weighted OPS. As it even will explain here, this shows the player's weighted OPS versus upcoming lefty, righty, and switch-handed players. So you have all this information at your disposal. And this pitcher in particular right here has an even lower weighted OPS than his regular OPS. Alright, so we can see that information there, and then we can go ahead and watch him. Actually, I clicked on the wrong guy, but we can watch a couple guys as far as potentially being the best pitcher available for the day. As you can see, he's got a good price tag here. It's all being shown for the FanDuel option. It can be also for the DraftKings option. If we click on that, all the information would switch over, because all these algorithms point to and use the information pulled from that site. So, for example, here, this Tampa Bay Ray pitcher, showing that he even has a season value of $276 per point. So that's the value that you're going to get from him on an average for the season, as far as how many points he'll give you, or how much it'll cost you rather, because this is a 6.8K pitcher. So you can do the math on that if you like. But you always have this information at your disposal that's custom to that particular site, which is FanDuel, which is set on right now. Now, the next thing, though, I want to do and focus on is finding some weak pitchers to attack on the slate, which is going to be our main 7 p.m. slate. So we'll just let that load here for a moment. This is partly how I achieved those results in 1% at times, not always, but you have to let the numbers flow and work in your advantage, of course. Let's line up our pitchers here. And then we just need to work our way to the bottom of the list. So what I see, I notice here right away, there are 2 pitchers, as we just mentioned, that are at zero projected value, some of the worst value that you can bring and that you want to attack. So for example here, looking at, you probably want to attack this 871 OPS versus righty. So that means since he's playing Oakland, you can attack Oakland righties. This looks even better. Here you can attack showing OPS versus righty versus Mets. You can attack this Luis Cessa of the Yankees and have Met righties in mind. Here's another interesting one here. This is in Colorado, because right here you can see he has 858 OPS versus lefty. We'll take a look at, see there are 3 available lefties on the Rockies team that we could pick from, as you'll see in a moment. So let's just take those few examples of handedness or platoon of particular opposing batters. So now we'll just go to our batters. And remember, we also already have an idea of the implied run total of the games that we'll look at according to Vegas odds, as far as the winners as well, looking at pitching wins as another calculation of our projections for the day, but a lot of things factoring in here. But as we can see, these batters, there's a few of them here that are weighted at 100, dash rank, that is, at 100. So very good dash rank. That will go ahead and, hey, watch a few of them. Just click on the target button. I notice here is a potential stack that I would look at, because there's already, I'm seeing a few Tigers there. So we could do a stack of that team does well versus the Cincinnati, which team is it? Or Texas Rangers. Then that's another possibility. Here's another Tiger down here. Actually, that guy, he's playing with another team there. Okay. So once we think we can formulate our priority for a good roster, as I can see here as well, we mentioned a lefty Colorado guy. We want to watch him. We want to watch a guy who's really hot, for example, +3 and hot. Obviously, Giancarlo Stanton. We want to play him if we can. We can fit him into our lineup at 5K. Also, I know there's an Oakland righty. Go ahead and watch him. Just looking for anybody else here, scanning through. Working our way down. There's a Met righty, which we mentioned, didn't we? There's another Oakland A's righty. We'll watch him. Let's look for a few more guys at least to give ourselves a good example here. There's another Detroit guy. And as we can see, our dash rank is going down, so these players are less coveted. Although I see a good shortstop here that's doing good games. So here's how we can tell how to pick some of these guys up with a lower dash rank. As indicated here, looking for high upside. This guy scored 38 fantasy points, 22, 31, and 31 again. Recently, this is the past 10-game FanDuel scoring log. So we'll go ahead and watch him. And we'll just look for any more we can find. There's another Met righty. There's a Baltimore, another shortstop righty that had a very high upside variance, if you will, gain at 44 FanDuel points. So that's very important to consider. Even if we don't have a lot of time in our schedule, we can just really scan through and look at some of these game logs and see and say, hey, if he's going to get a high chance he could get 20 to 30 points in a game, that's something we're going to look at the target. Alright. So we'll also find some low-cost players. As next, I'm going to drop this down, look at sleepers. Since the majority of those players were above 33K, and now we're going to look at under 32K, and say, for example, here, a first baseman for the Oakland A's. See what else we find that we might want. And I see an interesting switch hitter here. Season value of $300 per point for the Phillies that I wouldn't mind taking a look at. He did have a 31-point game. Why not? Would be a good value play. And let's see, here's another Tiger. We could even take him, right? Here's another guy who did very well for me before, so since I'm having the knowledge here prior to setting this lineup up, let's go with somebody like that as well. But let's give particular attention to grab another guy that, say, for example, has a high. We'll already grab these guys. a high weighted probability that he'll have a great game because he's facing this lefty Perez, as we can see here, who has a OPS of 918 versus righty. This is, of course, a righty, so you can see all that information there, which gives him a weighted plus percentage of 61% probability of having a really good game. So that's a possibility. And then next what we'll do is we're going to make sure we drop this down here, some studs in our lineup. These are the most consistent fantasy baseball players, which we'll take a look at next. Could be in any price range. As we see here, we've already watched some of the most or the best fancy studs. Maybe we can just add on with the plus 17% weighted average here. We'll just add him on. So that'll pretty much take care of the guys we want. Oh, I've been watching and playing this guy a lot well lately and doing well with him. So let's put him on. As you can see here, he has 34 home runs, about 10 fantasy points a game. Alright, so now that'll bring us to the next step. We can do this in this may be 15 minutes or less. So let's take a look at next. We have an option of doing a lineup optimizer, which will take all these players we just watched and just putting them in one lineup for us, or generating lineups in which the system will give us about, I believe, 8 different lineups that we could pick and choose from. Since we only chose one pitcher we really want to consider, even though they may not be 100% best pitcher to take because there's no ace on the slot today, but we'll go ahead and do the lineup optimizer as far as our choice here. So you can pick which one and see which one worked best for you. So we'll just give that a moment. And there's the pitcher I chose, along with other various players that I chose, such as a couple of our Tigers, a couple A's, and just looking at it, looks like a pretty good lineup to me. All these players have high upside, a probability that lends itself to being able to finish well and score our targeted 200 plus points that we would need in a large tournament. And you would just adjust that strategy if you were playing in a cash game with like only 20 players, for example. You need to finish in the top 15% to win that cash. You would just take some of the more consistent, focus more on the studs, as well as good value sleepers who would score you at least, say, 10 points instead of focusing on the high variance upside, and go ahead and jam those players in. So we'll go with this lineup, save it, and so we have it for our reference. Anytime we want to add it onto our site of choice, enter that. So that's it. It's all it takes to enter a great lineup, and take care.